tell me a little bit about who you connected with at Pause?
Sure. Probably half the people there or more. I tend to be a little introverted, so connecting with people isn't my easy thing. Um, I had some really nice chats with Anne at Seed Code, one of Johnson Dillar's project managers. Uh, I had one employee there besides myself, and he's in Omaha. I'm in Seattle, so just connecting with him is kind of good. We don't see each other in person too often.
I was going to ask, how often do you get to see each other aside from an event like this?
Not very often. We have people in, I have one developer in Tampa, one in Omaha, three in Texas, and one in California. I, I think it's funny. I tell people we're sort of more of a Texas company than a Seattle company anymore if you just go by the, the number of people in each state.
That's
But
awesome.
I've never even met my person that works for us in Tampa. He's worked for us for going on 3 years now, and I've never met him in person.
Hmm.
So um, it's great. I've met everybody else in person. He's the only person. Oh no, I haven't. Yeah, I have met everybody else in person except him.
Got it. Yeah.
But so yeah, the chance to meet people at Pause is certainly one of the biggest advantages of an in-person conference, obviously. And the
Do you
fact that
feel
Pause has a lot of time to not be in technical sessions and provides a lot of time for talking is great.
does that do you think I'm glad you said that. Do you feel like Pause is a different event than other events in our community? You know, the Claire's community has a lot of other events in person and both remote and in person. Is it different?
Um, yeah, I think the fact that Pause is a little bit less focused on purely technical content and especially this year, a lot of time to engage with other people outside of sessions is, I think, quite valuable. Especially it kind of forces the issue for someone like me who's not that great at meeting other people. I'm a big fan of if I'm not good at something, putting systems into place that force me into that situation. So this sort of forces me to be a little more social, and so for me personally, I appreciate that. I also this year, not last year, appreciated the setting a lot. North Georgia is beautiful, and I this gave me a chance to experience that a bit, and I really and Pause is good for this. Maybe not next year, but it's a smaller conference, so it tends to be in smaller locations and lets me see a part of the country I haven't seen before. So I really, it's not a very business related reason, but something I personally like about any conference. But
Yeah, I this is the second time we've done Pause at that venue, and we'll be doing it again next year.
right.
And there's something about that venue in my mind that's special. And some of it's that it's 2 hours away from an airport. Some of it's that it's in the mountains. Some of it's that there's a waterfall. Some of it's that there's kind of infinite space to meet. Uh, yeah, I think it's a special place though.
I think after 2 years being there, I think next year I will probably still be finding places I didn't know about. There are a lot of nooks and crannies. It's a
Yeah.
fun place to explore.
Were there any highlights on like different parts of that venue where you were able to talk and hang out?
Um, let's see. We held our session in the Lakeside Pavilion this year, which I all I had done last year was walk by that. So it was nice to check that out. I had brought my fly rod and done a little bit of fishing. So this year I walked all the way around the lake. Last year I hadn't done that, and did a little bit of walking up in the woods, up in the hills, non-improved trails, old logging roads this year, which I hadn't done last year. So a bit of exploring in those different areas was fun this year.
Nice. Um, what other memories stuck with you of the event? It was 4 days, give or take, 2 whole days and, 2 short days. How did what memory stuck with you on this round?
Um, I think for me, just doubling down on what I said earlier, the non-technical nature of a lot of the discussions, I think was great. I went to a session that was focused on sales demonstrations. Another one focused on the pitfalls of perfectionism in software development, and session on ergonomics. And that one, that one I came away with a technical to-do item from, even though the session wasn't technical. Tanner Ellen from Seed Code did that session, and he talked a lot about, showed us the custom keyboards he made for his hands to allow him to position his hands in a comfortable position. And I hadn't realized how inexpensive 3D printers had gotten. He printed his own enclosures for his keyboards. And so I came away with a strong desire. He only lives a few miles from me. I'm going to try and connect with him and go see his 3D printers and probably buy one. He said you can get a pretty good one for $300 these days. And
Wow.
The idea that I could just say to myself, oh, I need a tube about this size. This is a model rocket engine, but I need a tube about this size, but I only need it third the length, and I need a hole drilled right through the middle of it that's 3/32 of an inch in diameter. And I can just have that come out of my printer, by tomorrow morning. I really would like to play with that capability.
That's really cool. Yeah.
It's kind of a random thing, but I probably wouldn't have, if I hadn't gone to PauseOnError, I wouldn't have learned that. So
Yeah.
I think going to conferences like this, a lot of the value sometimes is in random things that you don't expect to learn. Stuff that the session isn't even about. Sometimes it's just that you're in a session on whatever topic, and the speaker uses an example to demonstrate something they're talking about, and that triggers a thought in your head. And then I'm writing notes down about something unrelated to the speaker's topic, but that becomes something I want to think more about later on. I think that's a big part of the value of something like Pause.
That's awesome. How did your session go?
I thought it went good. We did a session on kind of how to approach an API integration in FileMaker. So ours was technical. Just starting from step one, looking at documentation, looking at what kind of tools you use to start out writing an API integration, and then once you get beyond working with the API in third-party tools, how you translate that into the API calls in FileMaker. And I think we had some good discussions. People brought up some third-party tools that we don't use, and there was some good discussion about some security issues that we brought up, but that also some attendees brought up. There's a lot of big potential security vulnerabilities when you're sending API calls back and forth between FileMaker and third-party APIs, and a lot of risks there, and also a lot of new requirements as Google and Microsoft changed their APIs to make them more secure. So it's a fast evolving area, and one I know a lot of people have a certain amount of trepidation with. I know I do. So I think it was a pretty good session. I was just gonna say it was fun doing it out in that pavilion by the lake too.
Good. I happened to be near the dining hall right before your session, and so lots of people were asking how to get to your session. So I saw lots of people headed your way. So it seemed like a well-attended session, which was great.
I know one of the first one of my other coworkers, Kate Waldhauser, and I were going to the first PauseOnError we went to. I think for us that was Portland. And we did a short session on tools that we use to run our business. So we were talking about fog bugs, and I don't remember what else. And we were going up against, I think Todd Geist was doing a presentation in the next room over, and we had like 4 people there. So having that pavilion, pretty good number of people attending and participating in the conversation is a pleasure.
Very cool. Good. Anything you took home from Pause? Whether that's a feeling, a thing, or... Oh, what's that?
my Pause device.
We debated hard whether to do the boards again or to do the clipboards, and the clipboards won. I really like them.
Oh, that's great. I've actually been playing around with it, deciding whether or not I like a dry erase board as something to make in-day notes on. I don't know if I'll stick with it, but I thought as long as I had it, I'd play with it.
Have
Um,
you have you tried wet erase markers?
I haven't.
Game game changer. So
Oh,
dry erase, you kind of like wipe it with your sleeve by accident or whatever, so it's a little
oh
bit
yeah.
frustrating. But the wet erase do require water to wash off, and so it's
Okay.
great. Like if you're just using it to like kind of scribble through the day, you can wash it all away at the end of the day. But it'll
Oh,
stay better. So
does
anyway,
it
for what it's worth.
uses the same white dry erase surface.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. So I can send you a link to the markers that I have. I really like them. They're really good. But you might like it better on a day to day if it doesn't just disappear accidentally, which I did a
Yeah.
lot last year.
I don't know if that'll work its way into my daily work habits or not, but you never know.
Yeah.
Other takeaways. I know I have some notes that I haven't really compiled yet. I have, every session I go to, I end up taking a few notes, and I haven't really gone through those and created a to do list yet. I have some takeaways that I need to go back. One of the disadvantages of getting older is I forget that stuff unless I write it down and then go look at it later. Um, but yeah, I know. Well, one takeaway is I think I was just thinking about this morning that I had some good quality time with Joe, our employee that was there, and I need to go, especially with a couple of my team members that I spend less time with even in Zoom, that I need to go spend more time with them. That's one takeaway, I guess.
Yeah, I think the in-person time means a lot, right? You don't know what you don't have until you get it, and you're like, oh, that was nice.
I've never been to Tampa. Maybe it's time I plan to fly to Tampa.
I think that's perfect. I love it. Do you think you'll be able to go to Pause next year? We announced dates, so what do you think?
Probably. I'm sure I'll go. I volunteer for a nonprofit here in Seattle called Washington's National Park Fund. We do fundraising for the three big national parks in Washington, and
Oh,
there's an
cool.
event. First, the first week in October conflicts with a event I usually go to. A
Got
historic.
it.
There's a historic apple orchard that has a harvest festival every early October. I usually go to, um, and so I'll have to decide what to go to.
Where in Washington are you?
I'm just north of Seattle,
Oh, okay.
kind of closer to Everett, where the 747, 787, 777, a bunch of Boeing airplanes get made.
Oh, cool. Did you talk to Sarah Severson at all? She lives in Wenatchee.
Yeah, she
So I'm
lives
not
over in
sure.
Wenatchee. I
Yeah.
think I said hi.
Okay, that counts.
I don't think I talked to her much.
Got it. Cool. What advice do you have for future attendees of Pause?
No, I think it's a worthwhile conference, and it's a great opportunity to meet people in a setting. I don't know if Claris is going to do Engage in person this year or next year. I hope they do, but even if they do, it's hard to get, especially if you don't know people already. Engage is an awfully hard venue to meet people and chat. When there's several thousand people wandering around, you just don't really have an opportunity to meet people. And Oz gives you that chance. It's a lot easier to strike up a conversation with somebody with a smaller number of people when the event itself is geared towards that. So I would say for people interested in that, Pause is a great opportunity.
Awesome. Any other last thoughts about Pause or?
Um, I you and Christy really put in a lot of effort, so I appreciate that, and especially your enthusiasm during the conference. So thank you for that.
Thanks. It's a blast. It's fun to be out there. It's fun to do it with Chrissy. We work well together, I think, and so it's fun to get to care for people for a little while on a
Yeah,
long week.
you guys have a good energy together. I think.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's all I've got, unless you can think of anything else.
Um, Not really. I mean, I'm showing my dog.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, Mal.
Oh, how sweet. What about your lake? Can we see your lake?
Sure, there's the lake, Martha Lake.
Oh, look at that. Wait, what's it called?
Martha Lake.
No way.
Swear to
Wait a
God.
minute. Mind blown. That's awesome. See, it all comes together. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to do this. I appreciate it. We will get some clips on this and do it similar to the way it was last year. And I'll give you a heads up once we're ready to post yours. Sound good?
Sounds good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.